Ian is now a Cat 4 hurricane, packing winds of 140 miles per hour. The monster storm is barreling toward the west coast of Florida.
Well, more than 2.5 million people are under orders to evacuate, and thousands have already lost power. Charlene Aaron has the details.
Hurricane Ian is a dangerous Category 4 storm as it approaches Florida's west coast. High winds and rain already starting to impact the state. Ian now delivering its first blow hours before it's expected to make a direct hit as a major hurricane. Residents making last-minute preparations to board up their homes and miles of cars on the roads as residents seek to escape ahead of the monster storm.
We have about 2.5 million Floridians that are currently under some type of an evacuation order.
St. Petersburg mayor warning those staying behind.
After a certain time when tropical force winds are here, we will not be sending out first responders.
Ian is now forecast to make landfall Wednesday afternoon in the Fort Myers area. Life-threatening conditions are expected, including several feet of storm surge and more than 20 inches of rain in some areas.
In some areas, there will be catastrophic flooding and life-threatening storm surge.
The state now bracing for millions of power outages. 30,000 workers are on standby to restore electricity after the storm passes. 7,000 National Guard members already activated under the state of emergency.
It could be everything from security to transportation. Aviation is a big part if we end up in search and rescue kind of scenarios. So, we're kind of the Swiss Army knife of operations. We can be used for whatever the Department of Emergency Management needs us to do.
Meanwhile, parts of Georgia and South Carolina are preparing for the storm. Georgia Governor Brian Kemp has declared a state of emergency with 500 National Guard troops on standby. Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
CBN's Brody Carter joins us now from Tampa. And Brody, you're right in the heart of it. We've got images, people evacuating, boarding up. What's the situation right now?
Well, Gordon, it's certainly a blustery morning here in Tampa. We're overlooking the Hillsborough River, and we're seeing just that. We're seeing sandbags. We're seeing boarded up windows for both businesses and houses. Pretty much a ghost town out here, aside from the national correspondents like myself out here reporting on the current situation. But there are people holding down the fort. I've seen two people running this morning, one guy training for a marathon, and a hurricane's not even going to stop this guy. One thing that's really interesting, though, I want to show you here. It's happening in the channel right behind me. It's actually Hillsborough River. You can see that gunk that's building up on the channel wall there. That water is being sucked out into the bay, into the Gulf of Mexico, where Category 4 Hurricane Ian is ready to barrel down here in Tampa Bay, Florida. And then it's going to come back with a vengeance, Gordon. That's the storm surge they're talking about. 10 to 12 feet threatening Tampa Bay area. I'm 6 feet tall. Add another 4 to 6 feet, and that's how high the floodwaters are expected here in this area. It's just crazy to see early morning how dark the buildings were. Nobody's really here, but like I said, some people are willing to brave the storm.
Are people in Florida responding to the warnings, to the threats? Is the evacuation ongoing?
Yeah, for the most part, my understanding is the people that are coming out here to watch and just kind of take in the spectacle before Ian touches down around 2 p.m., maybe into the evening, they really want to take this moment in because it's historic for Tampa Bay, just a prolific storm that's going to be coming down on the area. So there's gawkers, and Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, they're going to be making it to safety before Hurricane Ian makes its way in here. So heeding the warnings, yes, for the most part, but there's some dangers that are associated with the storm, not just the harsh, fast winds, 140 miles an hour, flirting with a Category 5 hurricane. It's also the flooding, the 15 inches of rain that are forecasted for some areas, that catastrophic surge that could be making its way right here potentially to where I'm standing. So it is most important, Gordon, to stress that if your local city officials are telling you to leave, by golly, you better listen to them.
All right. Well, you're there with CBN's Operation Blessing team. How is Operation Blessing preparing to help once the storm passes?
Most definitely. Operation Blessing has deployed personnel. They are on the ground and they're making moves, but particularly they're waiting on Hurricane Ian to make its way through before they can jump to assist. So that's what everyone's doing. They're battening down the hatches. As you can see, that weather's really oscillating right now. So once the storm moves in, they've actually deployed 2 construction trailers that are going to be helping with the rebuilding process once the storm is well said and done. And there's other trailers and trucks that are carrying supplies that arrived at their warehouse, which is in Ocala. That's about an hour and 35 northeast of where I'm standing here in Tampa. And once the storm passes, they're in constant communication with local church pastors about the greatest need, the biggest devastation, the hurting cities that need Operation Blessing the most. That's when they're going to jump on and help out in this historic moment for the Tampa Bay, Florida area.
All right, Brody, it's time for you to leave that waterfront. Stay safe. Get yourself to a place where you're not going to be in any path of the storm. The storm surge, you don't want to be anywhere near it. Thanks for the report.
We're staying in Orlando, Florida. We're headed there now. Thank you, Gordon.
All right. Thank you. On Monday's show, I talked about elevation and got some critique from some viewers in Florida. Here in Virginia Beach, the average elevation is just 8 feet. Where our studios are, I believe it's in 22 to 26 feet. But if a 12-foot storm surge came through, most of this city would be underwater. And I was told, well, the average elevation in Tampa was 40-some feet. We've got an elevation map to show you. There's a ridge line in the central part of Florida where you're over 100 feet. But I do want to point out, if you're in St. Petersburg, if you're on the waterfront in Tampa, if you're in Sarasota, if you're in Port Charlotte, particularly if you're in Fort Myers, all of that blue area and light green area is definitely within that storm surge. So don't look at your average elevation. Make sure you're looking at the elevation where you actually are. And if your city officials, if the emergency officials in your area are saying evacuate, please do. I've seen the damage from storm surge. I was an eyewitness in Mississippi after that storm, Katrina, came through. You don't want to be anywhere near it. We've got another map showing that storm surge for all of Florida. And, you know, even on the East Coast, the Atlantic side, you can see up to 6 feet of storm surge, 3 to 5 feet, 2 to 4 feet. But that particular area around Bonita Beach, that is very definitely, don't stay. Please get out in advance. You just have a few hours left. And please make sure you're protected. If you want to help in the aftermath of this storm, Operation Blessing is pre-positioning. We want to deploy to the hardest hit areas. We have our teams actively working right now in Puerto Rico, actively working for the storm damage in the Philippines, and we need your help. If you want to be a part of the relief effort, all you have to do is give to the Operation Blessing Disaster Relief Fund, CBN Center, Virginia Beach, Virginia, 23463 is the address. Just put Disaster Relief Fund in the memo line of a check. You can call us and say, I want to give, 1-800-700-7000. You can go to cbn.com. There's a place on the giving page where you can designate your gift to disaster relief. We have a new text to give, OBDR, which stands for Operation Blessing Disaster Relief. So just text those letters, OBDR, to 71777. Be part of helping. This is a major storm, once in a century storm for Tampa, and we need to be there for them in the aftermath.